several Cub Scouts make Oklahoma the place to race.
They compared this race to David and Goliath, but in this case, David lost.
The state's top cop and several dozen troopers may have been breaking a host of state laws and rules.
You're looking at some of the destruction rescue crews sorted through, searching for survivors.
As for refunding tolls, the Turnpike Authority says it has never refunded tolls after bad weather.
Inside this home, police say they found bullet casings from 2 different guns.
Is it malice or incompetence?
The police don't believe you. The judge doesn't believe you. Why should Oklahoma?
Within the last 10 minutes, we've learned Joshua Durcho, the man police believe murdered the mother and her 4 children at this El Reno apartment complex, has been arrested. As you can see by what's left of this mobile home park, emergency management officials estimate the tornado's path was 4 to 5 miles long and a half-mile wide.
If only he would have known my karaoke skills, I would have been.
As someone who has seen your karaoke firsthand, it's pretty good, folks.
Last year, in a Fox 25 investigation, we walked into the Tri-City Clinic in Newcastle to ask Dr. Steve Sholin why a dead woman had hundreds of pills with his name on the bottle. He would not answer our questions. So we went back to ask about more patient deaths and to find out why he still has his medical license.
This is hurting people and hurting families.
I would rather be in pain than die.
You're not going to talk to us?
868 pills sat next to Marilyn Cox's dead body.
So he took my sister away from me, and I'll never get back.
Police say she got all of them from Dr. Steve Sholin at the Tri-City Clinic in Newcastle.
She ultimately took her own life. She was not in her right mind, and she took her own life.
The autopsy report shows Cox overdosed on blood pressure medicine. Methadone, a pain management drug commonly used to treat drug addictions, was also in her blood, along with diet pills, which her family says made her delusional.
The doctor was warned. He was told how she behaved on the diet medicine. He continued to give them to her anyway.
Cox is not alone. Autopsy reports show this Dr. Sholin patient died of an accidental methadone overdose. Another patient died from combining methadone and Xanax, prescribed by Dr. Sholin.
I had an angel on my shoulder because I should not have woke up being on that amount.
This woman says she started seeing Dr. Sholin for pain management after a car accident.
Like most people, you think if your doctor writes you medication, it's okay.
Each visit,
Fluoxetine was for the depression.
She says Dr. Sholin wrote her a stack of prescriptions.
The methadose was for the chronic pain.
OxyContin for more pain.
Phentermine for the weight gain.
Ambien for sleep.
They're deadly together.
When she questioned Dr. Sholin about the side effects,
2 weeks later, I get a letter in the mail stating that he can no longer be my doctor for reasons unknown.
She says 3 different doctors would not take her as a patient because she was taking such a dangerous combination of drugs. Lee McGoodwin at Oklahoma's Poison Control Center agrees.
When people take opiates like methadone, oxycodone, hydrocodone in combination, these additive effects can be such that a person stops breathing.
And he's continuing out there hurting people.
After Cox's death, her family filed a complaint with the Medical Licensure Board. No disciplinary action was taken.
When you try to say that the physician did something wrong, there has to be some level of evidence to prove that. And at this point in time, we just don't have it.
Dr. Sholin's license is already on probation. Here's why. In 2006, police arrested him for driving under the influence of prescription drugs with no prescription.
It shows he has a habit, too, and he apparently is feeding other people's habit. And I wonder if some of the drugs didn't go back to him.
Newcastle police say they arrested a grandmother in the parking lot of the clinic selling prescription drugs, while they say her daughter was inside getting more prescriptions from Dr. Sholin.
Another doctor at the same clinic owns a home with Dr. Sholin. He is on probation for having sex with a male patient and prescribing hundreds of unnecessary pills to a former drug addict.
They need to be shut down. They need to go in there and review every one of the records.
We went to the clinic.
I'm Britten with Fox 25.
To ask Dr. Sholin why his patients are dying from overdoses.
He has no comment.
No comment.
No comment.
But later, outside of his home, he did.
Dr. Sholin?
No, I'm not going to talk to you.
You're not going to talk to us?
No, I have no reason to talk.
I mean, we would like to get your side of the story.
Please go away. I will call the police.
We'd like to talk to you about the number of prescriptions you write, sir. Can you tell us how many of your patients have died from overdoses?
It has no effect on what I do.
What do you have to say to the patients' families?
I'm sorry that they overdosed. It's not my problem. It's not my concern.
They take a Hippocratic oath not to cause harm, and he did. He killed my sister.
We do not know how many of Dr. Scholen's patients have died from overdoses because there's no public database we can access linking those deaths with the doctor. A database called the Prescription Monitoring Process tracks all controlled drugs and who prescribed them, but only doctors, pharmacists, and law enforcement have access. And I'm Britten Follett. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but the young lady we talked to today wants the public to be aware the crime is not being taken seriously in court. The story is first on Fox tonight. Police say two of Henshaw's relatives were at home at the time of the beating but did not do anything to stop the abuse. Neither of them were arrested or charged. Henshaw is on a 5-year deferred sentence for the kidnapping charge. If he commits another crime while he's on probation, he could go to prison. Those space heaters could be dangerous if not used properly. Firefighters responded to a fire started by a space heater near Northwest 53rd in Portland this afternoon. Firefighters got the fire under control quickly, but say these types of fires are common in these colder months.
When you've got a space heater, you need...
No one was home when the fire started. Firefighters say the fire caused about $6,000 in damage. The Department of Public Safety still has not turned over records as state law says it must. A man from Gracemont dies in an accident near Binger Saturday. Troopers say Brian Beam was driving a pickup truck on US 281 when another car drifted into his lane and hit the back of his truck. Beam was ejected from the truck and died at the scene. He was not wearing a seatbelt. The driver of the car went to the hospital but was treated and released. Troopers are still trying to figure out what caused that crash. A man in Altus is lucky to be alive after a bizarre accident. Police say a school bus hit the man in his motorized wheelchair, then dragged him more than 20 feet. Officers say students sitting on the bus noticed the man and screamed at the bus driver to stop. The man went to the hospital and was not seriously hurt. Police gave the bus driver a ticket for failing to yield to a pedestrian. Traffic backs up on I-40 near Morgan Road today after crews find a hole in the bridge. Troopers closed the northbound lane of Morgan Road over I-40 as crews repaired the hole. Road crews also shut down the eastbound lanes on I-40 to keep drivers safe from any falling concrete. All lanes of I-40 and Morgan Road are back open tonight. That event was indoors, but there was a lot of events outdoors this weekend, and it was chilly. And we haven't exactly had to deal with ice yet, but definitely cold temperatures. 3 years ago, inside a strip mall in Midwest City, police arrested Rebecca Graham for running a prostitution business. We discovered now she's trying to run a babysitting business.
This woman wants you to trust her with your kids. She already has international students, but she also has a mugshot.
She's notorious in Midwest City because she was involved in one of the largest prostitution cases we've ever worked in the history of the Midwest City Police Department.
3 years ago, police arrested Rebecca Graham for running a prostitution ring out of a massage parlor in this strip mall in Midwest City.
The information we received from this case, which she was involved with, led to child prostitution across state lines.
An ad on Craigslist led us to Graham. The picture next to the name Becky Boop is Rebecca Graham. She claims she has 6 international students and is trying to find homes for 3 females.
I have no idea how they came to her residence, but that's shocking too in itself.
So we called the 2 school districts listed in the ad to find out how the students could have ended up in Graham's home. All 3 schools, including Southmore High School, say they have students who come from those countries. But we learned private companies find homes for international students, so the schools have no control over where the students live. In another ad, Graham is looking for contact with even more children. Here she's offering babysitting services out of her home. She does not want screamers and prefers children with special needs.
I'm shocked, actually, knowing her background and how we dealt with her in the past.
When we stopped by to talk to Graham, she would not answer the door. But she did answer the phone. Graham says she is not involved in prostitution anymore.
That's what I do. I place foreign exchange students for other companies. That's, how I make extra money. That's what people do. They find foreign exchange students homes. It's not a pervert thing, and
You feel as though it's appropriate given your criminal history?
Yeah, actually I do, because considering who I am, yes. I mean, you may not think people change and people are different people.
Because of your in-depth investigation, I think raises some eyebrows of where someone should do some investigation and determine exactly what she's doing, because her criminal history speaks for itself.
Since we began investigating this story, the Moore superintendent immediately contacted the company that placed the students in Graham's home. The superintendent says the students are being removed from her home. The Department of Human Services and Moore Police are also investigating.